And welcome. It's 8 p.m. in Banjul. This is GRTS News at 8, broadcasting for viewers in the Gambia and around the world. In our headlines this hour, a moment of solidarity with flood victims. His Excellency President Adama Barrow tours flood-affected communities across the metropolis as government moves to initiate viable solutions to mitigate the impact of torrential rains. The Vice President, His Excellency Badru Joof, visits disaster hotspots in the Kanifing municipality and West Coast amid days of unstopping rain flooding homes and towns in most parts of the inner city, Gambia. And the Ministry of Health launches a new digital birth certificate and national insurance initiative aimed at digitizing health sector records through data archiving. In sports, African players scoop some of the most lucrative football transfers in the current international window set to close at the end of August. Away from home, massive overnight shelling in Ukraine's southwestern city of Mykolaiv, which kills at least one person as Russia responds to a Ukrainian counteroffensive from neighboring Kherson. Now, elsewhere, the first shipment of Ukrainian grain leaves the port of Odessa on Monday for Lebanon, following a deal struck between Ukraine and Russia earlier this week. Well, viewers, that's the top of the news and much more coming up with me, Mary Anjai Ajayi, and thank you for joining us. To have you here now, we begin with His Excellency President Adama Barrow, who has been visiting flood areas in a show of solidarity to people and communities affected by the weekend's heavy torrential rains. President Adama Barrow disclosed that government has secured $70 million funding from the government of India for the construction of a proper drainage system within the Greater Banjul area and another $46 million to boost coastal resilience, bringing long-term solutions to the recurrent flooding within the Kanifing municipality and West Coast region. President Barrow was speaking during a tour of the worst affected areas within the Kanifing municipality, West Coast region, and the capital city Banjul on Monday. The president also reassured that government will disburse funds to support disaster victims and provide them with food and other relief aid. Let's take a listen to this excerpt.
Problems. The problem is drainage. Drainage is a big problem. But some of the problems also are man-made. One thing we have to accept climate change. Climate change is real, and we have to adapt to climate change. How do we do that? As a government, we are the one doing the policies. We have to be strict with our government policies to make sure that when you are settling in any part of these areas, government physical planning must look at the area and definitely assess it and pass it and approve the construction that will happen there. But immediately, we have seen some of the problems. We know there are problems that must be solved immediately. By tomorrow, we will sit down together. We see how best, what envelope can we provide immediately to go and solve the people's problem. Because some of them, they need food, and mattresses and other things. The NDMA is here, the ministers are here, and the vice president is the one doing the oversight function as far as the environment is concerned. So by tomorrow, you would have gotten an envelope to go and address the immediate problems. For the long-term problems, we have a lot of projects that are coming. One of the projects is the drainage for the Greater Banjul area. That drainage, it is costed, it is about $70 million. $70 million to address the drainage problem in the Greater Banjul area. Already, we have the project, and we have already submitted the project to the Indian government, because we have a line of credit with the Indian government, that is about $200 million. But to justify our case and access the money, that's why we have already sent that project, and we are very sure that the project will be approved because it's a social project. Other one also, we have the resilience. That is the coastal resilience project is also coming up. That is $46 million, and that is $46 million. That will be from Abuko. The canal from Abuko going to Kotu Stream. That will start in December. So that is coming to start in December. So that's another project that is coming up. But our activities also, we have to look at the way we construct our houses.
Now, full details of that report by Mahmoud Jallow will come later in the news bulletin, and the highlights of the tour after 10 p.m. bulletin. Now, still on the presidency, 3 days of continuous rain and heavy showers put towns and cities on hold earlier during the weekend as residents across the Gambian metropolis from Banjul to Brikama witnessed the first major floods of the year 2022. Now, scores of homes and roads were fully inundated and impassable as flash floods pushed people and communities out of their homes in a steady stream that started on Friday. Now, on Sunday, Vice President Juve visited major disaster hotspot areas to assess the level of damage in various communities within the Kanifing municipality and West Coast. Now, Baba Sela reports.
Heavy rain showers battered residential areas in inner city Gambia, leaving residents in devastatingly desperate situations. 3 days of unstopping downpours have inundated more than 50% of the metropolis, with a deluge that submerged homes across the city. The ravages of the country's first floods in 2022 ushers in a major crisis situation in the Greater Banjul area and West Coast as the government and relevant stakeholders move to take holistic action to devise permanent solution to what is now a recurring problem that usually strikes the same every year. Saturday night's heavy showers was the final straw that broke the camel's back as residential areas and roads took in a month's worth of rain in 48 hours. The government quickly responded with the Vice President and a cross-section of line ministries from Works to Environment, Security, Top Command, Disaster Management Agency, and Red Cross embarked on a site visit to disaster hotspots within the Kanifing municipality and West Coast region. The delegation first visited the Baton Hardin Highway, which was fully inundated and cut off from traffic by the heavy torrential downpour, disrupting the road network throughout the weekend. The Ministries of Works, Environment and Lands were tasked to coordinate plans to find a permanent solution to the problem, which include residential planning and construction of a proper drainage system.
Canalization of the area, because that is one of the biggest solutions to some of these problems, where in every part of the region here, including parts of West Coast, affected communities that we have seen been seriously affected in yesterday's rains. Those areas are were all surveyed. Feasibility has already been completed and the project is costed.
The KMC did a very good cleaning exercise, but just after 1 week, the entire place returned back to the same status. I think we read also positive attitude from people. We cannot have resources to do one thing all around the same again and again. But we are not also running from our responsibilities. Based on the recently concluded sustainable waste management dialogue, hopefully in a very short time we'll come up with a sustainable waste management strategy.
Settlement pattern of people is very erratic. People want to settle everywhere on planned situations of building structures and so on. But we've been working with the physical planning, particularly on this route of water. We need to look at it very critically and to avoid people settling on waterways. Blocking waterways is going to be devastating to our population. And waste management, as the Honorable Minister have mentioned, is key in this. This is a waterway that goes all the way to Abuko.
Residents affected by the heavy downpour are in a serious, desperate situation, with many facing a food emergency, with entire food stores and other valuable materials washed away by the flood. Some had to evacuate their houses to seek shelter with neighbors as flood invaded entire households, causing great loss to families and communities. The towns visited by the delegation include Bakote, Brikama, Sukuta, Nema, Labakore, and the bridge between Kotu and Fajara, which was totally submerged by floods, causing great havoc to motorists. Disheartened by the magnitude of the disaster caused by heavy rain which lasted throughout the weekend, the Vice President outlined strategic plans being taken by the state to mitigate the impact of unprecedented floods.
The municipality is determined to take this decision. Collectively, we will take this decision and sort it out once and for all. I hope in the next 2-3 years we will not come back here and visiting these things, so that by that time we would have resettled the people into this. We'll look at the legislative framework in order to prevent people doing that. And since this is an infrastructural issue also, the Minister for Transport, they will have to look at things in a more holistic manner in the medium to the long term, how to address this issue.
According to Vice President Badara Diouf, Cabinet will convene an emergency meeting to discuss the situation and initiate viable solutions to avoid such a scenario in the future. Bawasila, GRTS.
Now moving on, the President, His Excellency Adama Barrow, laid the foundation stone for the construction of the country's first University of Applied Sciences, Engineering and Technology in Brikama West Coast region. After years of planning and preparation, Gambians can now acquire degree programs in civil and mechanical engineering as well as electronics at home, thanks to a joint collaboration between the government of the Gambia and the World Bank. Well, Mamadou Jallo, our Presidential Affairs correspondent, has more.
The President, His Excellency Adama Barrow, flanked by officials, laid the foundation stone for the construction of the country's first University of Applied Sciences, Engineering and Technology. After years of planning and preparation, Gambians can now acquire degree programs in civil engineering, mechanical engineering and electronics engineering at home, thanks to the collaboration between the government of the Gambia and the World Bank. Braving heavy rains, President Barrow joined other government officials, university academics and administrators, students and the people of Brikama for the historic ceremony held behind the Gambia College. The first phase of the project will see the construction of 3 faculties and allied infrastructure to provide the conducive learning environment for students enrolled at the university. This, according to the project consultant Babukar Semega Jane, conforms with the highest international standards.
The university master plan is designed to be progressive with all the modern facilities of a high-quality university of the 21st century, including faculty buildings for teaching, library and resource center, auditorium and regional conference center, administration buildings, commercial center with allowances for banks, cafeteria, shops, printing resources, medical center, book and stationery shops, etc. Student and staff accommodation with ancillary sports and recreational facilities have also been allowed for in the master plan.
The construction is funded by the World Bank as part of its efforts for the creation of what it calls African Centers of Excellence over a dozen African countries. The World Bank representative in the Gambia, Matar Toure, highlighted the importance of the project for the Gambia as an emerging center of excellence.
For the Gambia, I believe the ACE Impact project is particularly important, as I'm pleased to note that the Gambia is harnessing the gains of the ACE1 project and the opportunities accorded by the ACE Impact project to establish an emerging center of excellence on science, technology, and engineering for entrepreneurship at the Gambia Technical Training Institute. This delivers engineering degree programs and serves as the first phase of GTTI's transformation into an applied University of Science, Engineering and Technology.
Professor Sam Ofori, a senior university consultant, commended the government's ongoing efforts in transforming the Gambia Technical Training Institute, adding that the process has made remarkable progress. This university, he continued, will create new opportunities for Gambians, disclosing that 80 students are already enrolled.
We have a current 80 students enrolled. 60 of those students, representing 75%, are males. 20 of them are females, representing 25%.
Speaking at the event, President Barrow described the development as historic, in the Gambia's drive to provide higher education beyond the diploma levels. This, the president added, will significantly enable the country to produce the trained human resource to enhance national development.
In the past, only a selected few had access to higher education. However, through the National Qualifications Framework, the education system now provides pathways that allow students from grade 9 to choose careers in technical vocational education and training TVET and other educational programs. Expanding such opportunities has made it necessary to establish a university system in the applied sciences, engineering, and technology, hence the significance of the occasion. From now on, students who choose to become engineers and architects can proceed beyond the higher national diploma HND level to pursue degree programs in engineering and related disciplines at UCL.
President Barrow also assured that his government is committed to the higher education sector, disclosing plans to provide support to Gambian students enrolled in the university.
The Center of Excellence in Science, Technology and Engineering for entrepreneurship will help the sector to deliver degree programs that will groom skilled job creators through entrepreneurship and other outlets. Such ventures will avail the youth various openings to address our capacity challenges. Many nations have successfully transformed their economies through their human resources, and it is clear to us that applied education is an effective means of achieving this. As a result, we cannot play harnessing education and training as development tools, nor can the people wait indefinitely for.
This development follows a pattern that has seen the president lay the foundation stone of several projects designed to accelerate national development as part of his government's stated goals of providing the critical infrastructure and facilities. Momodu Diallo, JRTS News.
Now, the Ministry of Health has launched a new digital birth certificate and national insurance initiative aimed at digitizing the health sector through data archiving to ease the filing and recovery of information. Now, the new digital birth certificate can be acquired through the old paper birth certificate on Alcalo attestation. Health officials are now moving to decentralize the digital certificate to enable nationwide access to the national document. Let's take a listen to this excerpt.
Join mass registration campaign for births, and then NHIS, that is National Health Insurance, which is to register people, to register them, and then so that they can have their cards. The program is all about registering people's births, and then what is expected from them is like they should come with their national documents. Those are the ID card, national ID card, birth certificate, old original, passport original, whatever document you are bringing, driving license and Alcalo's attestation, plus the infant care card. These are the documents that we are expecting people to come along with. For this registration of births digital system, we are moving from the paper-based. We want to tell the people that we want to move from the paper-based, that is the elongated birth certificate, to the more digital, which is an A4 size kind of. And then in this process, it is going to help a lot, because in those days, people find it very difficult to retrieve their births where it was registered. And then the second issue that it was with is like the manual process. That one, you have to search for where your first registration was done, which was really a burden to many people. Those that have registered their births are no longer alive, so you cannot tell. So with this process, it is going to eradicate all those problems. We are going to have one system. If you fall 17 to 0, like if you're born today to 17, that one we are going to provide a NIN. That NIN is going to be linked to your birth certificate, and when you reach the age of 18 for your ID card, they are just going to take that NIN number, that unit identification number, and then link it to your ID card, meaning you are going to have one number that is going to be linked to all your national document, which is a great thing. So we are calling everyone to come out in their large number. We are going to start with Banjul, Bakau, then Josuang. Those people, we are asking them to come out in their large numbers because this is a great and big event. We want them to come with these various documents when they are coming, that is their national identity card, passport, ICC, but all birth certificate, and those that are resident and they are expected, or they will be staying here for more than 6 months. Those people, we are asking them to come, the residents, even tourists, if they are going to stay here for more than 6 months or 6 months, all of them, they should come. This program.
And now, Banjul Upper Senior Secondary School on Saturday graduated its 7th batch of students comprising over 500 students from both categories. The graduating class of 2022 successfully completed 3 years of intensive training in the arts, commerce and sciences as the school's management moves to consolidate their successes in WAEC examinations. Well, Usman Mane reports.
It is a fulfilling moment for these graduates as the school graduates the 7th batch of students of over 500 from both the upper and senior secondary, dubbed the class of 2022. Banjul Upper Basic was established in 1995, then moved to its own structure in 2002. The school was upgraded to senior secondary level in 2013 by MOPSI as the first in the area. The graduating class features the areas of study ranging from arts, commerce and the sciences. The theme of the ceremony looks at teachers' welfare, which says teachers deserve dignity and respect to ensure an effective service delivery.
This theme is quite apt and appropriate for the occasion, especially at a time when teachers face many challenges such as a lot of unruly behavior coming from students nowadays. Therefore, coming up with this theme will prepare and help us to make sure that we have the required students to be with our teachers so that the teaching and learning process can be done as expected.
Reporting to the gathering, the principal of the school, Sekou Samusa, expressed delight over the successes registered by the school, citing the pure science class who they awaits for an excellent results in WAS. He said the 2021 WAEC results indicate an overall performance for both the upper and senior secondary.
For 2021 WAS, cohort of candidates in September-October exams and registered 89% overall percentage pass. I think this is a laudable achievement. They need to be commended for that. And obtained excellent performance in certain subjects such as physical education, commerce and history, etc. with 51% pass in mathematics, 59% pass in English language, whilst much improvement is needed in other core subjects.
He, however, appealed to parents to enroll their children to remedial classes to mitigate the impact of COVID.
In order to achieve 880 quota hours, students have to be on classes, on summer classes, to ensure that the syllabus are complete. If you allow us to score 9 credits, if you allow us to score aggregate 6, if you allow us to score better results.
The SMC chair, Modu Conte, encouraged parents to inculcate good morals in their children as corporal punishment is abolished in schools. Guest speaker Awajame advised the graduates to look up to good and successful people worth emulation.
Be committed to yourself and give yourself a big task. You are all smart boys and girls. You can always achieve your dreams of becoming a better person tomorrow if you truly committed to what is.
The school officials used the occasion to appeal to the Education Ministry to create board of directors to govern the school for sustainable operation, as well as the provision of ICT among others for the school. The class of 2022 each received certificates of completion, awards and prizes were awarded to outstanding students.
My teachers and my mom for giving me the full support that I needed in the first place. She has always encouraged me.
The ceremony was graced by educative poems and dramas by students depicting social vices affecting present-day families. Usman Mane, GRTS.
And now moving on, the Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat in the Gambia made a huge donation to rain and windstorm victims in the lower Badibu settlement of Njawara village on Tuesday. Now, heavy rains and windstorms in July last year destroyed many homes and properties in Njawara village, where 2 young men died during devastating floods. Ababa Silla reports.
Support Package 5 from the Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat for flood victims in Badibun Jawara, where heavy downpours ravaged homes and property in July last year. Last year's flooding significantly ravaged rural communities, destroying homes and houses, with unprecedented loss of lives and property in many parts of the Gambia, including Jawara village, Lower Badibu, which was badly affected, with 2 young men losing their lives in the incident. The package comes with much needed material and cash to rebuild their lives as the Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat expands programs aiding the recovery of disaster victims across the country. The NDMA regional coordinator for the North Bank region, Mr. Lamin, said he described the Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat as a reliable partners whose interventions are helping the government to deliver vital support to disaster victims. Njawara village Alkalo Ajahadi Pane hailed the Jamaat for the well-timed assistance, saying Njawara is the second home of the Ahmadiyya community after Banyun. Earlier this month, the Jamaat made a donation of food items to over 45 families in KMC who were affected by a fire incident. This is their second big intervention within a month. Complementing government's effort to facilitate disaster recovery for victims, the Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat is extending a committed support initiative providing life-saving assistance for people and communities facing the impact of natural disasters. Baba Silla, GRTS.
And now to this dispatch from the NGO Affairs Agency, Ministry of Lands, Regional Government and Religious Affairs, which informs all NGOs in the country that are yet to regularize their status to report to the agency for status regularization. Now, failure to comply would result to deregistration of the NGO, and the deadline for renewal is August 31st, 2022. All concerned NGOs are urged to comply. Now you're watching GRTS News. We will take our first break now, and when we return, we come with sports. Do stay with us.
Hello, Sister Nya here, and today we are doing the unboxing of the AfriCell 4G LTE CPE router. Have you gotten yours yet? Here it is. Alright, now let's do the unboxing of the AfriCell 4G CPE router. I do love the sound of opening new stuff. And this right here is a beauty. What you don't know is it also takes you for an extra 6 hours of charge when there's no power. No power, no problem. Get your CPE routers now at your nearest AfriCell outlet and thank me later.
Welcome back. Now, African players have been at the center of some of the most lucrative football transfers in the current international window that closes at the end of August. With just a week before the new European club football season kicks off, CGTN's Mohamed Abubakar looks at some of the biggest transfers involving African stars so far. Let's take a look.
The 2022 summer transfer window has been busy, with a number of African players making big moves across Europe. The first high-profile transfer involved the just-crowned CAF African Player of the Year, Sadio Mane of Senegal. After 6 years with English Premier League side Liverpool, winning the league title, Champions League and all English domestic cups, Mane opted for a new challenge in Germany, joining Bundesliga champions Bayern Munich.
I chose Bayern Munich because, first of all, when they was really interested on me, and I speak with my agent, of course, and the project for me was the best, even though I had other offers, but for me, I think Bayern Munich is the right club and the right moment for me to move on and come here to do my best to help the team, of course, to win more trophies.
Another Senegalese international to make a move across Europe is Teranga Lions captain Kalidou Koulibaly, who joined London-based club Chelsea from Napoli. Koulibaly made 307 appearances for the Italian club, winning 2 trophies and cementing his place among the top defenders in Italy. Ivorian international Franck Kessie is another African star to leave Italy in this window. The 25-year-old left AC Milan at the end of his contract in June after helping the Italian club win their first Serie A title in 11 years last season.
When a coach like Xavi calls you, I must be very happy because it means that my work has been worthy. There are not many players who can say no to Barcelona. They play some of the best football in the world. I talked to Xavi and he let me know what my role within his team will be. I immediately made the choice to come here.
There are more African stars that have made moves across Europe's top leagues, including Malian Yves Bissouma, who sealed a move from Brighton and Hove Albion to Antonio Conte's Tottenham Hotspur, while his compatriot Cheikh Doucouré made a switch from French side Lens to Crystal Palace in the English Premier League. Ajax duo Ivorian Sebastian Haller and Moroccan Noussair Mazraoui moved to German sides Dortmund and Bayern Munich respectively. Egyptian star Mohamed Salah was rumoured to leave Liverpool after contract extension talks with the club appeared to stall by the end of last season. However, on the 1st of July, the club announced that the mercurial forward had signed a long-term contract extension, putting an end to the lengthy saga over his future at the club. His new terms, in excess of $425,000 a week, make him the highest-paid player in the club's history and the highest-earning African footballer on the planet. Mohamed Abubakar, CGTN.
Into our international stories. In Ukraine, massive shelling overnight in the southwestern city of Mykolaiv has killed at least 1 person. Officials say the Russian strikes may be in response to a Ukrainian counteroffensive launched from neighboring Kherson. In another development, the first shipment of the Ukrainian grain to be shipped since a deal was struck between Ukraine and Russia left the port of Odessa on Monday morning, bound for Lebanon. The Sierra Leone-flagged cargo ship Razoni is the first ship to depart in line with an agreement reached with Russia on July 22. A statement from the United Nations said it was carrying more than 26,000 tons of corn. Other convoys are expected to follow, respecting the maritime corridor and other formalities in line with the deal. Ukraine and Russia signed the agreement brokered by the UN and Turkey, which is hoped will see grain exported from 3 Ukrainian Black Sea ports. The ship Razoni has left the port of Odessa, bound for Tripoli in Lebanon. It is expected in Istanbul on August 2nd. It will then continue its journey after it has been inspected in Istanbul. Turkey's defense ministry said in a statement on Monday. The spokesperson for UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres wrote on Twitter that Guterres warmly welcomes the departure of the MV Razoni, the first commercial ship leaving Ukraine's port of Odessa since February 26th, adding ensuring that existing grain and foodstuffs can move to global markets, which is a humanitarian imperative. Elsewhere, Nigeria is experiencing a massive rise in education tourism. This is amid indefinite strike action that has left public universities shut for months. Students are now seeking options in the UK, Canada, and other countries where they can continue their studies.
Oluwatosi Ademuwagun, a Nigerian student, to exit the country. She's one of many relocating to the UK to further her education. That's after she got fed up with the incessant strikes and low employment opportunities for Nigerian graduates.
With a UK degree, you have a better chance. If you were to decide to come back to Nigeria, you just have a better chance. The labor market is increasing literally every day, every month, every year. You know, we're churning out students from school, and jobs are not really available as such. So it's no surprise that Nigerians are leaving to countries that are looking for people and are willing to pay.
International schooling consultant Ola Ugumbiade has spent nearly 2 decades helping students secure education opportunities abroad. She has recorded a surge in requests for her services in the past 6 months, and the UK is a primary choice destination for most of her clients.
A lot of students were just tired of the system. They're just tired of the educational system. We've had a surge in the interest for people studying abroad. But for the UK specifically, a major reason is that the visa process is easier. And if you say the documentation are fine, your chances of getting the visa is quite high. Unlike other countries, when you're sure that the documents are fine, you have enough money, everything is in place, you're still not sure that the student will get the visa. So everybody wants a level of certainty.
It's been over 5 months since public universities across Nigeria shut down operations. That follows an unresolved remuneration dispute between the Academic Staff Union and the federal government. Negotiations haven't yielded much, and that has halted education for tens of thousands of students.
It's an implication, a far-reaching one, even beyond the educational sector, to the economy. Massive brain drain, of course, would be the implication, the emphasis of our educational system. We need to begin to take steps, and quickly too, that will lead to a revamping of our educational system.
Data from the UK's Higher Education Statistics Agency shows a 64% increase in Nigerians studying in the United Kingdom. That's between 2019-2020 and 2020-2021 academic sessions, and the figures are steadily rising. Some other top study destinations for Nigerian students include the United States, Canada, and Malaysia. Kelechi Amekalam, CGTN Abuja, Nigeria.
Watching us live from Banjul, and I am Mary Ajayi. Well, a quick look at our top stories before we go. A moment of solidarity with flood victims. His Excellency President Adama Barrow toured flood-affected communities across the metropolis as government moves to initiate viable solutions to mitigate the impact of torrential rains. Now, Vice President, His Excellency Badara Diouf, visited disaster-prone areas in the Kanifing municipality and West Coast amid days of unstopping rain, flooding homes and towns in most parts of inner-city Gambia. And the Ministry of Health has launched a new digital birth certificate and national insurance initiative aimed at digitizing the health sector records through data archiving. In sports, African players scooped some of the most lucrative football transfers in the current international window set to close at the end of August. Away from home, massive overnight shelling in Ukraine's southwestern city of Mykolaiv kills at least one person as Russia responds to a Ukrainian counter-offensive from neighboring Kherson. Now, elsewhere, the first shipment of Ukrainian grain left the port of Odessa on Monday for Lebanon following a deal struck between Ukraine and Russia earlier last week. Well, thank you for the pleasure of your company. Stay tuned and enjoy the rest of our programs here on GRTS TV. Thank you for listening.